Hi, I'm back. Thanks, Kun. Now I'm going to talk about co-creating infographics. And this is bringing the power of the crowd into your visual science, into your paper, into your research manuscript. But first, what is the problem? The problem is 1.7 million peer-reviewed manuscripts every year, and most of them will never be read. They will sit unread, uncited, and this is a big issue. This is a major problem. The issue is partially about dense texts. And on the right here, you can see dense texts are all over the scientific literature. We don't use enough tables and figures and infographics, and it's also about paywalls that hinder access. And this really brings up an important question. Who is medical research for? Who are we thinking about benefiting? Is medical research just for researchers? I don't think so. The public are participants, payers, and patients in medical research studies. So the public, they're joining these studies, they're paying for them through their tax dollars, and they're patients coming to our clinics and enrolling in studies. So today I'm going to talk about co-creation. Co-creation is an iterative, bi-directional collaboration between researchers and the public. And this is a new way of thinking about developing manuscripts and about developing infographics. Here is an example of an infographic that was developed using co-creation. And you can see that there are a number of different ways of using co-creation. I'm going to talk about each of these in a few minutes. First, crowdsourcing. Crowdsourcing has a group of people solving all or part of a problem, and then solutions are shared back with the public. You can see here the steps, and for more information, the TDR has a practical guide on crowdsourcing in health. One example of crowdsourcing is a hackathon. This is a short event that brings together diverse individuals to solve a problem. Sometimes this is tech-oriented, sometimes it's more focused on design, and these applications are expanding. Participatory design sessions are where end users help to define preferences and sketch out ideas. And so this is very simple. You don't need to have a large social media following. You sit down at a desk with other folks, end users, and think about the problem. You could also use an online open call to co-create on social media. So here's an example from Richard Horton, the editor-in-chief of The Lancet, who said, a message to the NHS, we need to know about the needs, unmet needs. And now for this next part, I'm going to give some practical suggestions for open calls. First, talk to your end user. You really need to think about the person who's going to use your ideas. Talk to them, get feedback from them. And taking this to the COVID era, listen to the people around you. And I'm not just talking about Zoom teleconferences, social media. I'm talking about opening up your window, talking to your neighbor, talking to the person down the street, getting ideas from the people around you. Another open call suggestion is about keeping it simple. Sketch out a first draft by hand. Think about what are the key elements of the infographic. How can you do this and communicate your message in a simple, elegant way? Another important open call suggestion is to iterate and refine the idea. More often than not, your first draft won't be fantastic. You'll need to iterate and refine and revise the ideas. Failure is the mother of all success. Another suggestion is to frame your ask or what you want in a way that the public can understand. So when NASA organized a challenge focused on redesigning the toilet in space, they called it the Space Poop Challenge. This could reach a very broad audience. Another open call suggestion is to recognize those who contribute as co-authors or acknowledgements as appropriate. For the paper that designed that infographic that I just showed you, several of the authors were identified through social media, through open calls and participatory events. And then at the end, you need to share your final infographic widely. And on the right here, you can see several of the advantages of open access. It's going to give you more citations. It's going to help to influence policy. And in thinking about open access resources, here are a few open access resources. The paper that I just, the infographic that I just showed you actually has an entire paper at PLOS Medicine. And if you just Google PLOS Medicine, jump off the page, it'll be the first thing that shows up. And finally, I want to have you think, how can you make your infographic ripple through social media? The Ice Bucket Challenge is a great example of this, but think about what are ways to take your static idea and make it dynamic and contagious. So finally, thanks to the Social Entrepreneurship to Spur Health, the SESH team, you can see a photo of us and happy to answer any questions. Thank you.